You're a young man who loves the outdoors. Climbing is your entire life. What did it do to you to think at that stage that you might never, ever be able to climb again, sir?
It was distressing, very distressing.
I should say so. It's still a trauma, you know.
Yes.
It's still pretty raw. This is very, very recent. And I'm very concerned about it. Very concerned indeed. Now, you had this operation. The whole time leading up to the operation, all of the medical professionals expressed to you concern that there was a potential of long-term paralysis, yes?
Yes.
Happily, after the operation, what happened?
So, after I'd had the operation, the surgeon had told me that it was successful, which was obviously, like you said, very happily. Good news. And then I was told that I was going to walk out of the hospital the next day, which was, bearing in mind I hadn't even sat up in my hospital bed. I'd been lying down for 3 days straight. And then at this point, I've been told I'm going to be walking out the hospital.
Thank goodness. When you heard that he was going to walk out of hospital, how did you feel, Sam?
Obviously, it was great relief, because no, you don't want to see anyone in paralysis or any kind of life-changing injury. That would be terrible. And the fact that it was my friend Kyle is obviously, you're even more happy about it, because you know that they're going to be able to go on and do more stuff.
Now, Kyle, what are you suing Sam for?
So
There's two parts of your case.
Yes, so I'm suing Sam for loss of earnings, and I've broken that down into 2 parts.
Firstly, it's the 6 weeks off that you've had to have at the supermarket, correct?
Yes.
That's £900.
Yes.
Understood. Now, the second part is about really what might happen in the future.
Well, it was what I had lined up in the future, Judge.
Now, do you have evidence of that?
I have emails, but I'm unable to have them with me.
Don't worry, I believe you. In other words, you would have had instructor work, what I call winter through to summer, as a climbing instructor.
Multi-activity instructor.
How long is the recovery period, sir?
6 months.
Do you feel like you owe him this money, Sam?
With this case, I'm obviously in between a very much a rock and a hard place.
Sam, what you say is, as a matter of law, as a friend, because you're not a qualified professional, which he knew, you didn't owe him a duty of care. Whether you egged him on or not, it's a matter for him. He took that risk, knowing that this sort of thing might happen. And consequently, you are not financially liable for any of his losses. Correct? Well, I have to decide whether that's the case, and it's a challenging one. What would you like to say in response to that?
Well, I'd like to say to you, you used an example earlier, you said you wanted to do a backflip in Strictly, but you said you weren't brave enough, I believe, or...
I wasn't brave enough.
Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yes.
I chickened out.
So
12 million people didn't want to see me land on my head, sir.
So, that's the situation I was in, but instead of my conscience telling me to chicken out, I had Sam as my conscience telling me to do it, which might have led to, if someone was there in your situation, it might have led to you doing the backflip and injuring yourself.
A very good point. Kyle, Sam. In order for you to bring your case against Sam, you have to prove that he owed you a duty of care. To do that, you'd have to prove, amongst other things, that he was a professional, or you'd paid him money, or something of that kind. The fact that he egged you on is not on its own enough. He was not a trained, qualified instructor when he taught you this move at the gym. So even though he egged you on at the beach, you ought not to have attempted this move. He may have given you some courage to do it, but it was a matter for you to determine, because he's not a professional at this, whether or not to take part in it. You know that because you are a professional climbing instructor, and the people who you take have to sign all sorts of detailed undertakings before they end up climbing walls or mountains or rocks. For that reason, because Sam doesn't owe a duty of care to you in law, I'm afraid, regrettably, I have to dismiss this case. You knew the risks, you didn't pay him, and he wasn't a qualified instructor. For that reason, I'm afraid, I regrettably have to dismiss this case. Don't be stupid. Stay and watch the best Judge Rinder moments. And I'm talking. Understood? Don't be a moron. Subscribe to Judge Rinder YouTube channel. right now, that's an order.